Hey, Pa, did you hear the news? Turns out I am a painter. I knew it. I knew I was a painter. Next morning, I'm back out in the Montana garage trying to figure out this firewall issue again. I spoke with Barry from SPI on the phone this morning. He thinks he knows what's going on and gave me a solution. I'll be honest with you, I am skeptical, but at least I have a road forward and something to try, and we're gonna try it again today. So he's telling me, and not that I don't believe him, I just don't know if it's, I don't know if this is my problem because it seemed like it was happening before I did all this stuff too. But two things I'm doing wrong: wax and grease remover and a plastic spray bottle. I think he said it's fine with their solvent-borne, but the waterborne stuff is so strong it like starts attacking the bottle and you get the plastic in the wax and grease remover, I guess. And microfiber towels are a no-no. I guess they have chemicals or whatever on them as well. So he thinks the combination of those two things that I was using to wax and grease the firewall is what's causing my contamination. So he instructed me to wax and grease the spots I sprayed, sand it off, wax and grease again without the spray bottle, without the microfiber towels, and thinks I'll be good to go. So that's what we're gonna try. I'll come back later and report, for how it worked. Or, maybe, like I say, you'll just see me throwing this thing off a cliff or something.
All right, attempt number 5. Yeah, I don't get it either, but this is the 5th try. We'll see what happens. I'm guessing same thing. And I was right.
All right, it's a week later. Welcome back to Will I Ever Get My Firewall Painted, episode 549. In this installment, we're gonna try yet again to paint the firewall. Surprise. Where we left off, we tried a few things, SPI told me, and it made zero difference in the results. Still had fish eyes. I guess I just looked back at my footage and I never showed you what it looked like after I sprayed the last time, but it was basically the same thing. Just, I sprayed that little side panel, and the whole thing was just, it's not even really fish eyes, it's just, you can just tell there's some sort of contamination or something. The paint just blah. I don't even know how to explain it. Blah, blah, blah. Anyways, I can't show you now because I've already sanded it off. Since then, I didn't speak with Barry or SPI, I just had a little text string. I told him, hey, I tried what you told me, same result, it didn't help. He said, put the primer on a shaker. I said, well, I don't have a shaker, but I did ensure that it stirred good. They want to make sure that the stuff that settles in the bottom, is mixed in well. I told him it's thoroughly stirred. I don't have a shaker. Let's see, what did he say then? I don't remember if he said anything else. And then I asked him, I didn't get to this question when I was having my phone conversation with him because he just kind of went off on some tangents, but I asked him if there was any chance it could be the product itself, because I'd never had this problem with the old product I'd used, but when I opened this new gallon, I couldn't get it to spray right. I sprayed some on a pickup box outside that's just kind of an old pickup box sitting there. I didn't clean anything, but it did the same thing. I found a piece of spare sheet metal. I waxed and grease removed it. I sprayed that, and it was just bare metal, and it did the same exact thing. So I asked him, is there a chance it could be a bad product? He asked me when I bought the product. I told him I went in. I was gonna just say, I've had it a few months, I don't remember, but I decided, well, I'm gonna go look at my records. I found out when I purchased it. I gave him the date. It was October of last year, October of 21. He came back and said, your problem is the epoxy. We had a bad batch in September of 21. So I guess it was nice of him to admit that. I was a little frustrated because, they probably have on record that people bought it at that time. Shouldn't they send an email or something saying, hey, your product might be contaminated, or I don't even know what was wrong with it. He said there was something to do with the, what did he even say, a conveyor or I can't remember, something to do with the manufacturing process. Anyway, he said it was a bad batch, and the only time they had a problem is if it sat for longer than 3 months. Well, obviously it's been longer than then. So he was saying that most of the product got used up and it wasn't an issue, and he didn't think about that, blah, blah, blah. Anyway, so at least he admitted that it could be the product, and they did send me a new gallon. They sent me a little extra wax and grease remover, I guess, for my trouble, but this has been it's been a whole lot of trouble. So whatever, things happen. It just seems like that's the kind of luck I have. So that all being said, we're getting ready to spray this one more time. I'm 1 day within the 2-week recoat window to spray epoxy and epoxy, so technically I don't have to sand it. As you can see, it's mostly sanded. I had to sand out all the bad stuff from before. The last 2 times I just sprayed the side panels, but the last time I sprayed the whole thing, the contamination or fish eyes or whatever the heck it was pretty much everywhere. I mean, there was a few little spots that looked fine, but it was pretty much everywhere. So I had to mostly sand the whole thing. Like I said, technically I'm still inside the recoat window, so I wasn't super picky about getting all the little tiny crevices and stuff like that. So I don't know how good you can see it back there, but there's probably still a little bit of shiny stuff here and there. It's mostly sanded, and I think I'm okay being I'm in the recoat window. I've done at this point, I'm not showing you any of this stuff. You guys have seen it in the 35 other videos about the Firewall. But I sanded it. Obviously, I had to touch up some masking paper. I waxed and grease removed it. I used rubber gloves this time. A couple of you guys pointed that out that I wasn't using rubber gloves. I didn't use the spray bottle. I didn't use the microfiber towels. I used paper towels. I wiped it on. I wiped it off, just like the method Barry told me from SPI. I took some of your guys' advice. Somebody said I shouldn't put the towels on my shirt or my shoulder because there's fabric softener on my clothes and that can contaminate it, so I didn't do that. What else? People gave me all sorts of good advice, so thank you guys for that. Some people said I'm spraying with too much pressure. Some people spraying not enough pressure. I got too much fluid, the wrong gun, and I don't know any of that stuff. I'm just setting the gun up how it tells me to, and I've had decent luck before until this fiasco, so I'm hoping I can get back to that decent luck. SPI does recommend 1.5 tip. I have a 1.7, but if you read the forums, lots of people spray it with 1.7 and they say it's fine. So maybe it's not ideal, but I got acceptable results before, so that's what I'm going for, is acceptable once again, hopefully. So I think I'm getting ready to spray. I have the, it's been sitting for like an hour since I did the wax and grease remover. It's 74 degrees in here. The primer's been inducing for close to an hour. Yeah, I don't know. I think we're ready to go. I'm gonna suit up with my, my sweatshirt and put my little mask on. That's not probably the right one. And we'll start spraying a little primer on here, and we'll cross our fingers and hope that maybe the 5th time is the charm. Some other advice I got was to make sure to use a tack rig. And a lot of times, I mean, I don't do a lot of body work, but I have used a tack rig before, messing with my son's truck and whatnot. But I guess I just, I think I might have did it once. I can't remember if I used one or not, but it's the Firewall. I wasn't worried about it being super awesome, I just didn't want it to be super terrible. But anyways, people say it's a good idea to do that still, even though it's, I'm not going for show car finish, whatever. So I got a brand new tack rig, kind of loosely balled up, and we'll just give that a light rub. I got gloves on. This is kind of our last step, I guess, before I'm getting ready to go grab the gun. Wish me luck. You can see it's not really picking anything up. We got it pretty clean.
All right, moment of truth. Attempt number 6, maybe. First, new batch of epoxy primer in the gun. Here goes nothing. Definitely looks better. I think it's gone on a little heavy. I'm going to mess with my setting a little bit. My fluid. I don't know what I'm doing, but turn it in about a half turn. Probably got kind of light on the first time. I think it might be kind of a little splotchy because I tried to make a dry coat. I don't know. Everybody says I'm putting it on way too wet. Probably still too wet. Anyways, we're going to let it sit for an hour and then try to make it pretty on number 2. Time for the second coat. Alright, it's a little texture around freely, but that's, I think, a little bit normal for this stuff. Especially when you're a guy like me that doesn't know how to spray it, but we'll try it. And it's, I think we made it to acceptable. We'll let it dry and see what it looks like. I got a little left, so I'm going to spray like a third coat. I don't know if it's a good idea or not. It doesn't look too bad. A couple little dry spots, so that's why I'm going to try to fix them. Probably make them worse.
Just got done spraying the partial third coat. I probably should have just left it, but I don't think I made it any worse. There was just kind of a couple of dry looking spots, and I thought if I could give one more little nice and wet and it would look better. I was worried about not having enough primer to do it all, and I kind of didn't, but I just kind of left at this body line. So hopefully once it all dries, it'll look all right. It's got a little orange peely to it, and there's a little bit of junk in it. It's really, really shiny right now because I just got done spraying it. It'll dull up a little bit. But none of the big fisheye, like chemical weird reaction, whatever it was from before. So I think I'm going to be totally happy with it. I wish it would have, just happened like this. Well, the first time laid out pretty nice, but I had a spot where I could see the filler through it, and then that's what started this whole fiasco. But we'll come back here in a little bit when it's dry and take a final peek. Well, bam! All right. Back in the Montana garage paint booth. It's been a couple hours. So the epoxy primers had a chance to set up a little bit. Still a little tacky, and it's still a little shiny. It's going to lose a little bit more of the sheen as time goes by. But hallelujah, sweet mother of God, it's not full of fish eyes. I think it turned out pretty good. There's a little bit, it's got a little bit of orangey, peely stuff to it, but I don't think it's much to worry about. There's a little bit of kind of rough stuff right up in here. Of course, the spot that everybody's going to see right here above the distributor. I guess it's not too bad right there. It's more up where the wiper motor goes. But and there's some specks here and there where there's some trash that got in it. Whatever that's going to be, that's going to happen. It's painting in a plastic paint booth like this and not really cleaning everything and making it like you're supposed to make it. But I'm happy. So after several weeks of pulling my hair out and reading forums and asking you guys for advice and trying to figure out what I'm doing wrong, it finally turns out that I wasn't really doing anything wrong. Now, it does turn out that I was doing some things that I maybe shouldn't be doing. Like I told you about SPI telling me the microfiber towels and the plastic bottle, and a lot of you guys told me things like make sure you're wearing gloves and adjusting my spray gun different, not blowing the project off with your grease or your oily compressor air, too much air pressure, not enough air pressure, things like that with my gun that I need to just learn, tack ragging it. Man, I can't remember. There's a ton of stuff you guys told me, and I'm trying to incorporate all that stuff and learn from each and every one of you, and I appreciate everybody trying to help out. But like I said, in this instance, it wasn't something I was screwing up. It was just a bad batch of epoxy from SPI. They sent me a new gallon. They sent me a little bit of extra stuff, kind of least they could do, they said. It did cause a lot of frustration, a lot of extra work. But what do? I guess that's hot rodding, right? This stuff happens. It seems like it happens a lot to me. Is it just me? It's everybody, right? When I had the bad Phytech ECU, and then I had to try to spend 3 months messing with that, and then I had to get a new distributor to figure that out, and the distributor they gave me was bad, and then it just goes on. And yeah, I can create my own problems good enough without having bad stuff sent to me. But anyways, like I said, that's all part of hot rodding. I'm glad it's finally taken care of. I'm so happy to move on to something else. And finally, soon, this thing can go on the frame. Is it too late for Rocky Mountain Race Week? Yeah, I think it is. That was last week. Maybe next year. Look at that. It's smooth and shiny, just like the Lord intended. Yeah. I painted it myself. Yep. Yeah. Well, yes, it does look nice. I'd like to take this moment to thank, of course, my parents for giving me this opportunity to be on the earth, my wife for supporting me, my freaking viewers for making this all possible, and most of all, I'd like to thank me for being so awesome. First try. Not.